Getting in shape, building muscle, looking great. It's definitely difficult, but here's the good news. Staying in shape can actually be a lot easier. It's totally true. There's 3 reasons why staying in shape is far easier than getting in shape.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I want to start a movement. It's like getting fit when you're older, or being fit when you're older is easier. I want to start saying something that comes off controversial
instead of it being always negative. Like I'm getting older.
Because it's not fucking true.
No.
I mean, if you've never worked out in your life and you get started at 50 years old, of course it's harder, right? Than it would have been if you started at 20 years old.
But that's not to say that your body won't respond.
That's right.
Muscle, you get
exactly.
Fit,
yeah, exactly. But if you have, and I'm not even pointing out the fitness fanatic, but if you were somebody who sporadically, more consistently than not, but sporadically lifted weights through your teenage, young 20s and 30s.
If you've built any muscle.
That's right. Staying fit and being fit as you age, as you get older, is easier. It is not harder.
The data on this now is clear. We witnessed this, managing gyms and training clients and training trainers and coaches. We saw this, right? When you train that client, you had that member that had been consistent for years and years and years. And they'd come in, they're in their 60s or 70s, and you'd watch them work out, and they're consistent. Be like, man, that person looks incredibly fit. Or you have that relative that had developed, muscles from whatever job they did for years and years, but they stopped. You're like, why does my uncle still have massive calves? He stopped being a mail carrier, decades ago or whatever. Or that, my other uncle who was a mechanic, his forearms are still like, what's going on? Well, the data on this is now pretty clear. The amount of training volume that is required to keep muscle is substantially lower than is what is required to build that muscle. Some studies show like 1/9 the volume, 1/9. Other studies show something like 1/3 or 1/5. Nonetheless, it's significantly less. In other words, if you work out 3 days a week consistently and gain 10 pounds of muscle, and then you're like, I just want to keep 10 pounds of muscle, 1 day a week will do it.
In other words, it's pivotable. So.
No, stop. You said that a few times in the last episode. I didn't say anything to it.
Somebody should need to say something.
No.
Yeah. At least it's somebody else on here.
I don't want to slow down. I left it there.
Captain Tongue Tie over here.
No, but
it's blended in with the next word. That's what I do.
Less. So I'll use another other data to kind of support this. Right. There is a measurable amount of muscle loss that happens as people age when they're sedentary. So when you're sedentary, I think it's after the age of 30, for every decade, you lose like 5 to 10% of your muscle mass or something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but it's a measurable amount and it compounds. The amount of strength training that is required to just stop that. You're not trying to build muscle. You just want to stop the muscle loss that happens with getting older. Is something like 1 workout every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So if you take the average person and they're like, look, I don't care about being fit. I really don't care about, building muscle, burning body fat. I just don't want to lose muscle as I get older. I just don't want to lose muscle as I get in my 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. They can literally work out 1 day every 2 weeks or so, and they'll stop that from happening. That's how amazing it is, or at least the effects and benefits of strength training. That's not to say you won't lack the health benefits. It's healthy to move every single day. So I'm not saying that it's ideal, but to keep some of these results requires so much less, and the number one reason is it just takes less volume, way less volume.
I'm thinking about this as my youngest is really getting into fitness and wanting to lift with me now, and it's like I have to introduce the fundamentals and just stick with the fundamentals, sharpen the fundamentals, and not get overzealous. I'm like, I get excited. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll teach him this. I'm like, no, 3 things, and we're just sticking with that, and like we're going to try and sharpen and refine that, because that's going to carry him well into our age and beyond.
Yeah, and another reason why this is important to communicate is oftentimes the reason why people completely stop is because they don't have the time or maybe the motivation to maintain what they were doing. So for them, in their mind, it's like, well, if I can't do my full workout, it's a waste of time, right? Yeah. Like I was working out 4 days a week. Like, is it worth it to go in 1 day a week? I'm just going to not go. No, it's still worth it. You can keep what you built with so much less volume that a little bit goes a long way, and that's the number one reason why.
This is our fault. I really think that and I mean that by trainers, coaches, the fitness industry as a whole, we really have overcomplicated what you need to do to be healthy and fit. And it turned into this competitive, who knows more, who's read the latest studies, who's got the more sophisticated programming and diet routine. And I think that we have overwhelmed the general population. Sure, we might have helped the fitness fanatic gain the competitive edge on how to get a percent more shredded or get a little bit more out of their programming or whatever. But the average person that looks at as, exercise or training in the gym is like another job or something they are not interested in doing whatsoever.
They just want to improve the quality of life.
Yeah, they just want to be healthy. They want to live long and healthy and capable to do what they like to do, and that doesn't include going to the gym and lifting weights every day. And so we've turned it into an either or. Either you buy in to this or this isn't for you, or it's just like, no, there is actually little things that you can do that can dramatically improve your health and strength. And to your point, Justin, I think about this all the time with Max. Obviously, I'm not there yet where we are doing anything, but I've thought about like, what would that look like when I introduce to it? And I really think that's all I'm going to do is like, I'm going to pick a couple movements, like the deadlift or the squat. And like, that's all I'm going to teach. Like, I'm just going to teach that for like years.
Squat and press.
Yeah. Just just keep working on the nuances of it and treat it like I'm teaching him a sport or an art form of something, and just get him proficient at that movement. And if I can lay that foundation in his early years, when he gets to the age where he wants to make, change for athletics, or he wants to change for his body, he wants his body to look like, then he'll have that as a foundation, and he'll be able to build on that. But that by itself will do so much.
It's funny too, because with other sports, you don't necessarily hear that. Good coaches they know how to communicate it properly. In other words, you go to learn how to box. Like, how many punches are there in box? There's a jab, there's a straight, there's a hook, there's an uppercut. There's 4. So is the coach like, well, we've already learned those 4 yesterday. Let's learn like 10 other weird. No. You're mastering those 4. So what you're saying is totally true. Like, master a few lifts. And also, like, the other part of this is you have a routine. So if you've been going to the gym 4 days a week, and let's say you spend an hour in the gym, or 3 days a week you spend an hour in the gym, you don't have as much time. Just go in there and do a little bit. Just go in there and do a little bit, and you would be surprised how easy it is to maintain strength and muscle. It's very easy to maintain once you've built it. So keep the routine up. I used to tell my clients this all the time. Just show up, do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and get out. They're like, is that really worth it? Yes. Yeah. And again, the data supports this. This isn't just what we saw as trainers. The data on this is actually quite clear. A little bit doesn't just go a long way. It's enough. It's enough to keep what you've built.
And allow the seasons of your life to dictate your approach of volume and intensity, meaning there's going to come times when you're on vacation, or you have 3 months of work being slower than other parts of the work season, or you're going to have time when the kids go off to school and you're no longer having to watch them all day. Like, you let those periods of time, like, oh, I'm going to sprint right now. This is a great time. I've got the next 3 months, kids are in school, or I've got this thing going on, or, oh, that big, huge project I was doing at work is now done, and now I'm back to kind of coasting or easier type of schedule. Hey, now I can pick up the volume. Now I can pick up the intensity of my training and really, pile on and try to make like aggressive moves forward, and then scale back when you get crazy again. It's just we really overcomplicate what it needs to be and what it looks like. It's so far more important to just consistently do something, even if it's one exercise, it's one thing. Just continuing, and I love the analogy or comparison to investing. Because you don't always have to go put $100,000 in the investment. Sometimes you throw $50 there.
I love that analogy, because everybody's seen those charts where they're like, if you buy a coffee every day. Well, if you took that money and put it into this at the age of 20, by the time you're 50, because of compounding interest, right? You have $1 million, and people are like, how's that possible? Well, it's compounding interest is how it's possible.
Or the charts that show if you would have just started this little bit when you were 15 or 20, and then 30, and then 40, and then 50, where it's at.
And that's how exercise works as well.
Yes.
Totally. And the last point I'll make is that getting back into shape from a muscle perspective is far easier because of something called muscle memory. There are changes that happen in your muscle on an epigenetic level that don't go away when you stop exercising. So yes, you build muscle and get stronger when you exercise. And yes, you lose muscle and get weaker when you stop.
Yeah.
But something sticks around. There are things that happen to the muscle epigenetically that stay, that allow you to rebuild that muscle again far faster the second time around. This is an evolutionary adaptation system that you're born with. It's called muscle memory. You can look it up. And it's not the kind of muscle memory that helps you remember a movement. It's the muscle memory that allows you to rebuild lost muscle. And it's insanely effective. If it took you a year to gain 15 pounds of muscle and then you lost it all, you could gain that 15 pounds back in a couple months.
Couple weeks, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, I have a free guide that teaches you how to lose fat in 3 steps, just 3 steps that will burn the most amount of body fat and help keep it off. This guide is totally free. We're giving it to everybody right now. If you want it, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show.
I know we've been touting this for a long time, but I'm so much more passionate about it after going through this, because I honestly didn't know. I mean, I know the power of muscle memory, but I didn't have a number to put to it. I couldn't tell you like, oh, you could do that in a few weeks. But it was very surprising to me what little I had to do to stimulate that growth back. Like it was
Isn't that amazing?
It was like I was only doing 2 exercises a day.
Yeah.
For like 5 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week. It was, and I wasn't training to failure. I wasn't like the intensity wasn't even there. It was just like going back.
The blueprint was already there.
Yes, my body wanted to put that muscle back on by feeding it properly and stimulating it. It goes, oh yeah, we remember this.
Yeah,
and quickly it.
And
came
I know
back.
the central nervous system has to play a factor in that as well. Because if you think about skills you've learned, how to ride a bike, how to play piano, how to do, you're literally teaching all these motor movements, and you're mapping this out, and you're refining it, and you're improving it, and then you step away from it. It's not like that data is just gone. You can tap back into it.
Learn how to play the piano. Don't play it for years and years and years. Relearn how to play it so much faster.
Yes.
Second time.
Look at Mike Tyson throwing it. Doesn't look like he forgot how to throw a punch.
No.
You know, guy's almost 60 years old, off of fighting for a very, very long time. Quickly get right back into it. Now, granted, his stamina, his endurance.
Yeah, that's not to say you're not
he's
going
he's not the same 19-year-old killer he was.
There are benefits.
But I'll tell you right now, he killed me in that. He still killed me. Killed 99% of the people out there.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. He's far better than he would have been had he never done it.
Right.
And so now he's getting back, right? I mean, speaking of which, we're now, I think 3 days left for the MAPS 15 performance.
I'm
launch.
staring at your hat. Did you make that for that?
Yeah, a long time
did you
ago.
know he did that?
This was for the advanced logo, but it's similar. I wore it in honor of it, but yeah.
There it is. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't tell we were podcasting right now. And I'm like, wait a second. That's our logo.
I just made it for me.
So we
me.
created this program because the original MAPS 15 was so popular and people just keep coming back to it. So we made a performance version of it, which is the athletic minded one. But where I was going with this little segue is what is included with this is this 7-day overtraining rescue guide. I feel that this guide, which you get it for free with the launch with MAPS 15, but later on people probably have to buy it. The reason why I'm bringing this up is I feel like this guide is going to be so valuable for so many people.
For sure.
Because all of us, if you're consistent with working out, at some point you start to feel burnt out because you overdid it.
It's inevitable.
Maybe sleep isn't good, things are challenging. And oftentimes the recommendation is to cut way back or to take a week off, which is good recommendation. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But we've never put anything out that was structured. Well, what can I do for 7 days to accelerate the recovery process? Are there practices with diet, sleep, sunlight, hot, cold contrast, supplementation, water, food that I can do over the next 7 days that will ramp up my body's ability to recover and adapt so I can get back to what I love doing? And that's what we did with this. It's literally a 7-day, day 1 do this, day 2 do this, all the way up to day 7, and then boom.
This reminds me of when we first wrote Symmetry, and it was like that kind of aha moment for us. Yeah, because every week we answer how many live callers do we normally do? 8 to 12 or whatever like that a week, where we have live callers call in and we're
giving the same advice
so
often.
Yeah, for the longest time we were giving the unilateral advice to people, right? Who would try imbalances. What do I do? Left to right discrepancy.
Where do I get it?
Yeah, and so we would prescribe unilateral training, yet we had nothing specific to that. It was like kind of a aha duh moment. I feel the same way with the recovery guide. It's just like, how many times do we look at, and we know as soon as we're reading the question, the person's on there and we're like, oh yeah, this person's overdoing it. They need to scale back. And it's like, we always have to give this protocol. It's like, why haven't we written something like that?
There are some things in there that I've done myself. I've done all the things that are in the all the recommendations in there on myself and on clients. It's all backed by data and of course anecdote through training clients. But there's one thing in there in particular that I learned as a kid from some of the experienced people in the gym that I worked out in. So when I was a kid, I started working out at 14. By the time I was 15, I'm in gyms. I used to ride my bike to a gym. And then from then on, I was always in gyms. And I was blessed that a couple times I got mentored by older experienced lifters in the gym. And what I mean by mentored is I would see them often and then they'd give me advice, and because they were jacked, I took their advice. When you're a 15-year-old
still happens,
kid,
by the way.
I know.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and I would take their advice. And I remember I got really sore from a workout once because I used to overdo it all the time, and some things don't change, right? But I overdid it a lot when I was a kid, and I was you could see when I'd get up from the bench, I'd walk real funny,
real stiff.
And so there was this older guy that used to lift in there. He's probably 30. I say older, but when you're 16 to 30-year-olds, like ancient, yeah. But he was a super jacked dude. And he's laughing. He's like, why are you walking that way? I'd hammer my legs or whatever. He goes, you want to recover faster? I said, yeah. And he goes, take a shower, put really, really hot water on your legs. Do that for like as hot as you can tolerate. And then do that for 30 seconds. And then go to freezing cold water for 30 seconds. And then do 30 seconds of hot water. Then 30 seconds of cold water, back and forth. And the way he explained it is the hot water opens up the blood vessels, encourages blood flow. Cold water constricts them, squeezes everything out. So it's like causing the blood and the fluids to pump in and out of the muscle. And this is something that I've done ever since because it works remarkably well at reducing soreness. Like you do this, if you have like a muscle that's hammered and you do this in the shower and you go through 5 or 6 cycles of it, it will reduce your soreness by like 50 to 70%. I remember I came out of the shower going like, I barely feel sore anymore. That's one of the things that is in.
I think one of the more pivotal things that I went through was
pivotal.
Good job, Adam.
Yeah, gotcha. That I went through was I used to think that like rest, recovery,
don't move,
and not understanding how powerful like mobility and movement
to
facilitate recovery and speed that up was. And so that was the mistake I think I made for a long time. I'd hammer it so hard until it was so sore.
Yeah, you go sit on the couch.
Yeah, and then it was just like rest,
legs up.
Rest and eat calories.
Just let them build.
That was exactly.
Rice.
That was the thought process.
Nice.
For me for recovery, and I think learning how mobility and movement, not intense movement or more training, lifting heavy weights, but movement would facilitate more oxygen, more blood flow, more nutrients to the area that's overtrained, and then facilitate faster recovery.
Yeah, 100%. Movement, hot, cold contrast, fluids, sunlight, like have all been shown to kind of accelerate that adaptation. I'll use the word adaptation because recovery is healing, but it also helps with adaptation. And speaking of which, with hot and cold, if you have a cold plunge, it's so powerful to go from a sauna to a cold plunge and back, or hot shower, cold plunge and back.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about in terms of like facilitating recovery, it is remarkably
I got to get that set up at my house. I've done that so many times at like some
spas.
of those, spas, and I love it. It's exhilarating. But
and then you leave and you're like high for like the whole day.
Oh yeah, it totally gives you an energy bump.
No, so our partners Plunge advocate for it for pain and for recovery. where you go in the freezing and then you go in the sauna, and then you go in the freezing and then you go in the sauna. It's like one of my favorite. You know, the first time I did that was at what's that place that you recommend to us?
I know.
Up in Carmel.
I was trying to think of that.
That's starts with an
Refuge?
R. Refuge.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. And they have the cold. They have their cold dip, which is freezing.
I wish we could get a partnership with them.
I know.
Oh, I know.
You can walk in the cold little pool.
Oh,
I mean, having the
Right after
having
the
the
sauna.
plunge is like having your own in the house, but the refuge is like a resort, right? So you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
There's
Totally.
massage therapists there too, so it's a little bit.
The whole thing.
yeah,
I
it's a
gotta
whole
whole vibe.
I got to tell you guys this morning, my 2-year-old Dahlia, she wakes up, and so her, you know, I have my 4-year-old, I have my 2-year-old, and they're the best of friends. Sometimes they fight or whatever, but my 2-year-old has figured out how to be like stuck up to her older brother and get him to chase her, like to want her affection, because he'll tease her, he'll take her toy, make her cry. Well, this morning he did something to her, so she's like, I'm just gonna be mad at him, right? So he was pissed off. I don't remember what he did. He did something to her, got her upset, got them to chill out. So then he went up to her to repair. And my wife does a really good job of communicating grace and repair and all that stuff. So he goes up to her and he goes, you know, I'm sorry, Dahlia. And usually she'll be like, you know, okay. And she calls him Sasa. She doesn't say his full name. She says Sasa, and she gives him a hug. Well, this time she goes, no. And he looks at me like, what do I do? I'm like, I don't think she's ready. And he's like panicking. He walks up to her like, Dahlia, can I hug you? No. And she walks away and he's like, what do I do? I'm like, you got to give her time, bro. You can't force it.
His first lesson in understanding women.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was trying to help him out. Like, listen, the more you chase her,
This is never going to change.
the more angry.
This never ends, son.
So I told him, so I go up to him and I'm like, I'm trying to coach him, you know, I'm like, listen, she's not ready. So you got to be okay with that. Because she's like started crying. She doesn't love me. She doesn't love, no. She's
just
fine.
wait, son, until she tells you, then she changes her mind in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It gets harder.
I said, if you keep chasing her,
It's
she's
way
gonna
more
keep-
complex.
I said, listen, here's what you do. Just act nice around her and just be cool. And eventually she'll come over to you. But he didn't want to hear it. It was the whole day, the whole morning he's chasing her. Just give me a hug, Dahlia. No.
Just give you a hug. No.
She's like, because she sucks her thumb. So she pulls her thumb out. So she looks at him, she pulls it out and she goes, no. She puts it back in and walks away. He's like devastated. No. She doesn't love me.
Classic.
I know. It's hilarious. Dude, something sad I got to share with you guys. Well, I don't know if you guys have seen it on social media. Have you seen that OnlyFansGirl controversy thing that's going around?
The OnlyFansGirl.
There was this girl. Oh man, it's so sad, dude.
Not the latest.
Oh, it's so crushingly sad to see somebody do this to themselves, and then the comments afterwards that are piling on. So there's this, and it's all over social media right now. So there was this young woman, Lily Phillips, I think's her name, who she's an OnlyFans, you know, person or whatever, and she did this challenge where she was going to sleep with 100 men in 24 hours.
I think I heard
Oh
this.
my God.
So she, in her London apartment, she allowed some of her fans, and I don't know how they qualified. I didn't really look into it. Obviously I saw this after the fact because of what happened. So she had, I guess, her top fans sign up, and they got to all have sex with her for 5 minutes. So it's 100 men in 24 hours. And you could, you know, there's interviews of her talking about it leading up to it, whatever. Then afterwards they interview her, and this girl, man, I feel so like she comes out and you could tell she's like psychologically trying to kind of come to terms with what she just did and what's happened. And she's like, you know, I know there were 100 men and you know, I know they're there because it's recorded. She's like, I only remember like 5 or 10 of them. I mean, she's explaining severe disassociation. She's explaining.
I would imagine you would have to have that to do that. Like a severe dissociation, right? You
Yeah.
couldn't be present in that.
She's like, it's not for, she like, I don't recommend it to anyone. And in her eyes, you could tell she's trying not to cry and she looks traumatized. And then later she cries. And that's the video people are sharing. And the reason why I feel terrible, first of all, poor girl made this stupid decision. Now has to deal with this trauma that she did to herself for fame or whatever. That's not
Publicly,
worth it.
yeah.
The comments afterwards, you know, that people are talking about her trauma, what she did to herself. This is what she gets, you know, what she thinks she would happen or whatever. If her dad loved her, she wouldn't have done this. Oh, it's so bad, dude.
Was it
It's so bad.
Was it like a money grab? Did she
Sad.
charge like big money for it and just she
Apparently.
made a ton of money
Yeah,
in that,
dude.
that 24 hours?
Apparently. And the thing that's going viral is her post interview where you could see the trauma on her look, the blank look on her face, and her trying to talk through what the experience was. And she's clearly describing, again, disassociation, describing that she just traumatized herself severely through the whole process. She was talking about how some of the men, she's like, you know, it was really hard. Some of them would try to talk to me and they would say, you know, I only had 3 minutes, but I'm supposed to get 5 minutes. And then she starts choking up like she's going to cry. And it's like, whoa, poor girl, man. What did she do? What did she do to herself?
I don't know how to
And
comment
what
on
gets glamorized in this crazy world?
Well,
you know?
the amount of
and how some people think it's empowering. What the hell?
the
are you
amount of money that's flowing through OnlyFans right now is insane. They compared it to, I think I shared this.
the more than the NBA? You said.
Yes.
that. Oh my God, really?
They compared the amount of money that's going through OnlyFans is already
Money isn't everything. People need to understand this. What do you think's going to happen?
What's crazy
if you make millions of dollars, basically objectifying yourself? What do you think's going to happen? You're going to be happy?
Well,
You're not going to be happy.
what's crazy to me is the power of the free market in this situation, because the NBA is propped up by television and has been around for decades. And I mean, there's a huge effort for it to be as big as it is, right? Huge effort. OnlyFans is literally word of mouth. I mean, I mean, maybe you see some billboards or some Instagram ads. I don't know. I don't see people advertising the company or the business. Literally word of mouth has grown that thing to be this $1 trillion empire already. That is wild, dude. That is wild.
I mean,
and to think that your top creators on there are producing more revenue than like an NBA.
But think of the mental gymnastics and how you have to twist yourself to be an OnlyFans person, and then to be a person that pays for that and does that also, but more so for the person doing it.
I mean, do you think it's all bad?
Why? What's the good?
Well, I mean,
what's the good?
Do you think that I mean, the good could be that somebody who lives in a rural area could create a following of people that are willing to pay them for their skills. I mean, that's all bad?
Yeah. We live in America. You can make money a lot of different ways. And yeah, you might have a better chance of being a millionaire if you're attractive and you have some whatever on OnlyFans. But what do you want all that money for? To be happy? It's not going to make you happy. The data 100% supports this, by the way. There's no good for this. Is one of the worst.
It'd be interesting to see how. I mean, I'm not on there, so I don't know enough about it. But I know that the platform isn't just used for sexual content.
Oh, I
know that, right?
I thought you were referring to just the
no.
stuff.
That's why. That was my point. Is
Like
you think
the
it's
other
all
stuff?
bad? Yeah, like there's. And my point is that like there's people that are
They
paying,
just pay for access.
Yeah,
to
to have
talk
access to somebody who is on there, and they could be in rural Indiana, and because of that, they now could build a livelihood out there.
I guess it depends what they're offering. Then it would make the difference.
That was my point.
Oh, okay.
Is it all bad? Like I don't think it's all bad. I mean, I definitely think a big portion of it. I think that the sex part is what sells.
That's the money.
I know. I mean,
because didn't they say for a second they were going to ban it and then they quickly
they were
reversed?
exactly when they were trying to go public. They were talking about trying to make, but then
I think that's just a publicity stunt.
It could have been.
So?
Yeah.
Well, that could have been actually.
100%.
That would have been a brilliant way to market it like that. But I don't know. I don't know where it's. I mean, and is it up to us as parents, right? Like that's it. That's my job, is to make sure that your son or daughter doesn't end up on some. To me, it really is just, it's the modern day stripper comment.
It's
interesting.
It's like, right?
The old joke, the old
that.
adage of your one job as a dad is to keep your daughter off the pole.
It's replaced
by the way,
that.
it's
It's
more than
replaced
one job.
porn, like industry.
What a stupid kid.
I mean,
there's way more than that. By the way.
Right. But I mean, it simplifies. It's like, your one thing is to love your daughter, love your child enough to where that's not an idea.
It sucks because the world places certain things. Like, it's not that money isn't important, but it places it in the wrong order of how important it is. And so if you talk to the average person about getting rich or getting lots of money, they give it more value than it actually has, to the point where, hey, how much would someone have to pay you to do what? How many times they've heard that, right? Yeah. Would you do this for $1 billion? And everybody's like, yeah, I would. Yeah. It's not going to give you what it think it will. So people are selling their souls for fame and money. Mm-hmm. For fame and money, they're selling their souls, and they're coming back and finding out the hard way.
It's a constant temptation,
Well, I'll give you a great example. How we glorify celebrities and musicians who commit suicide in their 20s as great artists. This great, like Marilyn Monroe, she's my icon. You know, Kurt Cobain, icon, so tormented they killed themselves.
Yeah.
Why are we looking at them like people we should idolize? We should actually look at them as examples of how those things are not valuable.
We're drawn to the.
If you can remove the person from the art, but that's
the hard part, right? We're drawn to, as humans, to see this incredible expression of these capabilities that they have, right? Like use the art. It's what Kurt Cobain could do, right, with the guitar and on the microphone.
Sure.
It's what Ja Morant can do with a basketball on the court, right? It's like unfortunately, it's not about their character. But
have you noticed how a lot of them,
to that?
But have you noticed a lot of them? Oftentimes, the ones that have a tragic ending are iconicized higher or more than other artists.
Sure.
That's crazy.
I think that's
it's
just
weird. It's weird.
I think the faster and the higher you rise, the bigger the fall and the quicker the drop off.
Yeah, the temptation for all that.
Because how quickly when you're somebody, Marilyn Monroe example, or those people that you're saying, like, they reach a level of access and success and money and power so much faster than anybody else.
Not ready.
Yeah, and then you get all of it, and then you have this crazy, like, oh my God, this is.
Well, it's interesting because I mean, don't you feel like it's shifting a bit in terms of, because the celebrity itself is losing their grip with like influence in terms of over the society, the traditional celebrity who was that like rise to fame and like excess and everything was promoted excess. But I just feel like, I mean, media had a huge hand in that.
But I feel like it's exactly the same. It's just now social media.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that's concerned,
it's the media. The medium has just changed, and maybe arguably there's more of them, right? Yeah. I mean,
well, let me ask you.
Yeah, YouTube is.
Let's be
the new YouTube stars crazy.
Let's be brutally honest. Imagine had we started MINDPUMP at 20 and achieved the level of success we did in our mid-20s.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been ready.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
We would have
been crazy.
Oh, it would have been not good. It would not have lasted. That's for sure.
It's exploitation on some level, right?
That's the scary part, is that you would have thought it was all at that time.
Yeah,
you would have been soaking it all up, thinking it is.
Yeah, and it would have turned out all bad.
There just need to be competitive ways to get to the success, and I think like it's just not portrayed enough.
I think what's not portrayed enough is what real success is.
This is why the parenting and the leadership part is so important, because there's nothing you like. Let's take your example you're using with us in our 20s. Like, there's nothing that you technically are going to say that would have convinced me that I don't want it or I don't like it. But what if I had good mentors, a good father telling me? Then as soon as the remorse or the depression or anything started to creep in,
you'd have that person.
You would have that person that was telling you, had already told you that you could either turn to, or you go like, oh fuck, my dad told me this is how I was going to feel.
That's right.
And so maybe he was right this whole time. And then you can make a quick pivot. I think what happens is so many of these kids, celebrities, or people that get that don't have someone per se like that, or they didn't have a good father figure, and and then they have this massive rise, and they keep chasing and of course their peers are cheering them on. Oh yeah, fuck 100 dudes. That'd be crazy. You'll make fucking $2 million in a day. Like, that's nuts. Like, they're cheering them on to do it. They're not telling them like, yeah, you probably don't want to do that. You're going to feel this way. And I mean, I'm assuming that they don't have that. And I imagine that if you have a good person like that in your life, that even if you choose to go figure it out for yourself and you still go that path, I feel like there's hope for you to pivot out. It
just goes to show how broken the world is. It's like, it's even like this with fitness, how happy people think they will be when they get six-pack abs. Yeah. Like, if I looked like that,
solve all the problems,
I'm going to be so happy. No, you won't. Yeah. And there's data to support you won't. You actually won't. Your happiness won't improve. You'll probably actually be less happy chasing that very difficult thing of getting the six-pack abs or whatever.
Yeah.
But but what's advertised and what we believe is just, God, again. Hey, for the first time ever, you can buy the gift of muscle building, the gift of fat loss, the gift of health. For the first time, get a MAPS program for a friend or family member for the holidays. Just click here.
Completely different topic, but on what we believe, 40% of people, according to this poll, believe that we existed at the same time as dinosaurs. I don't know if you knew that.
Wait, say that again. 40% of people?
40% of people that filled out this survey, I don't know where it was, but believed that we existed at the same time as dinosaurs. And so here's one food for thought. Have you seen Göbekli Tepe?
Yes, I was just going to say this.
Have you
What's that?
seen
No, what's that? What's
so
that?
there's etched carvings of actual brontosaurus.
Oh, I've
looking,
went next to human action.
Yeah,
and
dude.
like little raptor, and like it's interesting because that they're finding that actually predates a lot of these ancient civilizations before that, like even Egypt. And so it's just kind of an interesting thought. Is like, do we really think? Because it's always been told to us that
it's carbon dating, Adam.
yeah, they were here before us, right?
I know. Those are. If you've seen those etchings, there's like Stegosaurus. There's like a Brontosaurus.
Yeah.
There's like clearly, and it's walking with humans. It's like, how did they know?
How are they going to come up with that randomly?
I showed you one today of an Egyptian hieroglyphic, and it's like an Egyptian god with an erection, and it shows sperm cells.
yeah.
Sperm cells. Like, how could they know what sperm
How
cells?
do they
were?
even know
How
what
do you
that?
show sperm cells? What is
They
that?
they etched it
It's
into
a little tail and
Doug,
everything.
look up Egyptian hieroglyphic
That's wild, 'cause-
sperm cells. Like, how would they know without a microscope? How would they know what sperm cells look like? And it's distinctly a sperm cell, and it's literally coming out of the dude's erect. I mean, so you know that they're making the connection. It's not like a accidental, like, oh, it could be a
I mean,
tadpole.
we studied this like, for a good 5 minutes.
Yeah,
But there's no way somebody's trolling here, and somebody just like 50 years ago went over and drew that.
so it's just etching in a little sperm.
yeah.
You're throwing me off. Just to throw you off the trail.
It's an ancient Justin guy. You know?
Yeah, I would do that.
Put a penis here and etch it in. I know it's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Sprinkle some old carbon on it, throw you guys really off. This is 1,000,000 years old.
I love
for
it because
sure.
they're always like, "This is the fertility god," you know. There's always
It's always
guy
a
that's
boner.
huge. Like,
What is that? He's
enormous
always got
shrunk.
this crazy looking.
huge, and he's just sitting there like, yeah. Like, that god rocks.
Isn't that big ancient, like it's like on a hill or something? You can't see it unless you're from a plane.
Oh,
It's like a
yeah,
dude with-
That was on that Graham Hancock one. That
I
Justin
know
got
that's
me to
funny.
watch.
That's the fun side of
yeah,
history. I
ancient
think.
teenagers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drew this
Yeah,
on the side of a
We
hill.
were juvenile even back then.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Did you find it, Doug?
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Yeah. All right. Whatever.
I mean, I have something that was actually kind
I
of.
got it here.
Oh, let's see it, Doug.
yeah.
Let's see it.
No, it's legit. Watch this.
I mean, carbon dated Adam and to cross check us, but
nope.
that's
not it.
definitely China
Great Wall.
Well, here we go again.
and Utah maybe or Arizona.
Doug has tech demons that haunt him to this.
Oh, who's this guy?
I don't know.
Okay, he wants to help us out.
Okay, there we go. We
Can
got
I
it.
help you?
Is AI coming in? I see
Can
you
we
have
click that
technical
thing off
issues.
so we can
I
see
see you're
it.
having problems.
I was trying to open up in Facebook. Can you see it now?
We see a big. There's a thing in front of it.
Yeah.
You exit out.
Anyway,
Bright insight.
And
It's fun because it rhymes.
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. Look at that.
Oh wow, that's okay.
Look, that's a sperm cell. There's the
wild.
You recognize the thing on the side
It's-
there, Adam.
Yeah,
It's
I
Yeah.
do.
yeah, it's
Look at that.
Interesting.
Isn't that weird?
It's a penis.
How did they know?
And he's circumcised.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean,
Maybe it's
I don't
maybe
think
not.
so.
Maybe
Actually,
not. Maybe
it
it's
could be.
just
Could be. You're right.
extended.
I
if
can't
you
That's
will.
what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if anyone
Stretched
taught you
out,
that.
if you will.
Let me tell you what happens, Adam.
Yeah.
That situation.
And there's an eyeball looking at the whole thing. So
And then there's this convex lens.
What is the interpretation?
Oh,
what?
See
what do
that?
you mean? It's semen and a sperm cell and the
It's like-
convex lens.
like they're saying it's a magnifying.
Holy shit. It's like an eye looking through a convex lens to see the sperm cell.
Shut
What if they
up.
had a magnifying?
What is? Yeah, is that the? Is that
Bro,
what?
you can't. It's a sperm cell. How do you see that with? You need a
You
microscope.
can't.
What is the interpretation of it? Has it got an interpretation?
That's the What do you mean? You can't see what it is?
Well, okay, just erect penis,
Yes.
sperm cell. That's
It's
the
they
interpretation.
don't know. That's the big mystery.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. It's like that. Is it a part? And is it a part of a bigger?
Yeah, there's
mural?
a guy standing over there on the
Yeah,
side.
all that stuff's so interesting, like the Baghdad battery and all that. Where
Yeah.
it's like they found like ancient technologies.
By the way, there are some things you would like to see, Adam, that because you always make fun of carbon dating.
Mm-hmm.
They find these like modern machinery encased in like rocks or stone that is supposedly millions of years old, and they're like, how is this possible? And there's other scientists who are like, well, this just goes to show how inaccurate carbon dating can be because of the way that they measure the radioactive isotopes and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's because it's super flawed. This is not a tool in million-year-old rock. This is a tool.
I remember a long time ago. That's why I've always challenged it, or whatever. Even though I don't have the words to defend my position, I remember learning about that, like how off it was, and it was just like, and it wasn't. I remember first learning about it, and it wasn't like kind of off. It wasn't like, yeah, they're like 1% from what it could be. It's like, no, it could be like
dramatically.
Yeah, like millions of years off. It's like, wait a second, that's like a lot of room for error. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
so it's big margin.
Speaking of being off, so you didn't know this, huh, Adam? That our 8 sleep hookup is $350 off. You didn't know?
No, I didn't know that was a
huge
discount.
Yeah, I didn't either. I don't know if we've actually said 350.
That's a massive discount.
$350 off their which device is it? It's their Pod 8 Sleep.
The Pod 4 Ultra.
Pod 4 Ultra, $350 off.
What I'd like to hear from our audience, because I've had it forever. We were just talking to a friend of ours who we interviewed the other day, and she was asking about it. I said, I think it's one of the best investments ever. I use it every single day. Huge difference in my sleep. It's been amazing for Katrina and I. What I haven't talked to or met or used myself is the actually full-blown system where they have the mattress and the pod. I've just used the pod forever. There's just basically, which is just the pod is a mattress sleeve that goes like a sleeping bag or whatever that goes over the entire mattress, and then it's temperature controlled. Where they actually have a full system that is not only that, it's also a mattress that actually adjusts. So it even has
picks
things
up when you snore.
Yeah.
And it moves.
Yeah, it'll elevate you up.
I need to get one of those. Yeah.
So I'm curious if we have anybody or we know anybody who's actually has the actual full setup and what their take is.
Oh, dude, I got to talk about our friend Mike Matthews. He sent me a text.
I've been talking to Mike lately.
Yes, I'm glad to bring this
you know
up.
the guy that they have that they're going to be trying for the kid that shot what company?
The Luigi guy?
One of the healthcare insurance company CEOs. Remember that video? There was a guy.
Luigi guy, right?
Yeah, Luigi Mangione.
Oh, I saw that.
And they posted his reading material.
His top 10 recommended books on Amazon.
That's right. And one of them was Mike Matthews' book.
Yeah. Mike said,
he's like, oh crap.
Oh no.
He sends me a text like, damn it.
But I haven't asked him. I meant to ask him. I'm like, hey, how are sales been? Are they going up or are they down? Like, where are they at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a free advertising there.
The kid was fit. There's pictures of him from Facebook where he's like with his shirt off and he's jacked. So he's obviously into working out. So it makes sense he would read a fitness book. But Mike texted me. He's like, I don't know if this is good or bad.
Like, oh no. Not the publicity I was going for.
Am I going to sell more books?
That's hilarious. So what is you guys are following that way closer than I am.
I'm not.
No, it's not. You're not either. I feel like Doug and Sal have been
They caught him. He had a manifesto, and he had the gun on him and stuff. And then there's a bunch of conspiracy.
I heard a lot of skepticism.
I want to know what the conspiracy theorists are saying, since they seem to be the more accurate people. Don't tell me the science. Don't tell me. Tell me
that weird.
Thank you for saying that.
That's good.
So he's an Ivy League grad, high intelligence. Like he's never had any run-ins with the police. Never any red flags. This is the conspiracy theory, right? Never had any red flags psychologically. Like upstanding citizen, does well, this and that, and he's supposedly kills this CEO, and on his way there flirts with some barista on camera, and then afterwards goes to a McDonald's with the gun and his manifesto, gets on his laptop and waits for the police to arrive. And so they're like, this makes no sense that he would be that stupid, that brazen.
If that's literally how it transpired.
That's the conspiracy theory. What I find interesting is this is how shitty, this makes me sad. Some people on social media are labeling him a hero for killing an insurance company CEO because insurance companies charge so much.
Why is weird murders and things happen all the time, unfortunately? Why is this getting so much publicity? What is it about this guy?
It was on camera. He did it with the silencer, and it was. It was.
Wait a second. It was on camera. Why would there be conspiracy then?
He went when he was on camera. He had a hoodie on and a mask, so you can't see who it is.
I remember somebody actually showed me. The one thing I saw was like his eyebrows. Somebody showed me a picture. Yeah,
they zoom in on his eyebrows and they're spaced apart in the video where where's the shooter, and then when they caught him, he had a unibrow. And they're like, that doesn't make sense. He has a unibrow on one. So conspiracy theorists are like, it's a psyop, but like, why is it a psyop?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, that's the part.
What's the motivation?
Yeah, that's the part.
I guess the conspiracy is that the CEO was executed by some people in power, and that now he's a scapegoat.
Because he'd be questioned or something.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I don't know.
You would think that guy, if he's a scapegoat, that guy would. So he wrote it in his manifesto, and is he dead now too?
No, they caught him.
Oh, so what is he saying?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We don't know yet. I mean, there's some video of him getting
Interesting.
brought into the station, and he's like, "They planted it on me, and you know, you're insulting the intelligence of the American people," as he's going in.
Do you know what I want to bring up, since this is like slightly kind of political type stuff, and I feel like one of the things I've always loved about when we communicate this stuff, which ironically I think the last few years people have felt it was slanted one way, but what I notice, and I want to be some of the first to call it out and say it now, and you've mentioned it off air, so I'm not taking credit for being the first person to say this, and I'm just confirming what I think you've said already, is there is this really interesting conservative narrative that's brewing right now. And it's real, and I see it even in Hollywood, which is what trips me out, because Hollywood has been predominantly very left leaning, and it's to the point where there's so many times where I go to turn on a show and I start to watch with Katrina, I'm like, I can't watch this. It's just too much. It's too political, so that. And I've recently found shows and things that I've watched, and I'm like, oh, that was kind of a conservative slant there.
Yeah.
That's weird. This is on Netflix. This is on Prime.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. And those shows are getting populated and bolstered, and so it is really interesting. It's
not interesting. You just chase the money. I mean,
I think that's what this. I think
exactly.
It makes me want to be careful about saying things that, like, even Hollywood is just so technically left. Are they really left liberal leaning, or are they just going where the money is at and where the populace is?
Yeah.
And it kind of feels that way right now, because obviously Trump just won.
Companies, and celebrities, and all that stuff, they go where the money is. Period. End of story. Remember Bud Light, all the scandal, and then Bud Light lost all the money, and then they came back with these really all American, dudes brand, because they lost money.
Yeah,
they lost
tons of money.
Yeah, markets are powerful. Now there's a whole DEI thing, which is different, which tries to force companies to do certain things,
which was a real factor.
But those are getting reversed now. A lot of companies are dumping them because
I think that's the reason why you're probably seeing the opposite, is because the release of that, and then the media is shifting.
Really, really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And then now, because you love to play this game or pay attention to this the most, what are the things that you watch out for on the opposite side?
Hyper nationalism.
Yeah.
Hyper nationalism. You have to be very careful. The dangerous side of conservatism, which we're not really seeing it yet. Now, some people are like, yes, we are. Not really. But if we did, it could get real dangerous, because it comes with patriotism, and it can be sold very effectively. And it looks like hyper nationalism, hyper, patriotism, exclusion of, lots of other ideas, other people.
Yeah.
And then,
especially if we insulate ourselves from the other parts of the world, and we're really centrically focused.
And then what they do is they start to legislate their own ideas. So legislating ideas always tends to be a bad idea. So then it's like, oh no, these are the ideas we need to have. This is what we need to force people to learn. This is what we need to take away, type of deal. It's a pendulum swing, it goes back and forth. You just don't want it to go too extreme.
We kind of knew it was coming, yeah. So I guarantee I'm always looking at that. Who has power right now, and where do we have concerns?
Yeah, both sides love to go to war. That's all I know. So every time one side gets in, the other side gets in.
Yeah,
seem to find a way to go to war.
That was evident.
I just watched a really good video that Patrick Bet-David did. It was like a short on tariffs and income tax, and when did we not? When it wasn't that long ago. We didn't even have income tax, and then how it was introduced. And then how
they introduced it. It was supposed to be temporary.
Yes, it was a temporary thing to pay for the war, and then we realized, oh wow, we got away there. How about another war? Well, keep
what's great is we can keep taking
people
money.
Won't mind, and then to watch how that's escalated over the last 100 years is crazy to think how much of that has gone to, and then how much of it was going to the government, to be used. But
I look, I'll always support these audits and shrinking of government, because it's the most inefficient crap. Have you seen the list of the audits, the amount of money that these agencies can't account for? They literally say, we don't know where it went.
The Pentagon alone is responsible for trillions lost.
Forget it. You don't have to go that far. The state of California lost. They don't know where 20-something billion dollars went. We don't know. Could you imagine being a company and going to your
everybody's
shareholders?
Fired. Everybody's getting their assets taken. Are you serious?
Didn't you bring up on the podcast already about California, the new law that they're trying to pass right now with social media? They're having warning labels.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh, so it wasn't. I thought we did bring that up. Maybe we did.
Yes, we didn't. Yeah.
So that California may be the first state to have basically warning labels on mental health and some other
social media.
Yeah, for social media. And I mean, I thought we talked this because I thought I made the comment about, it'll be like the skull on the side of cigarettes. You know, it's like the same kind of concept. It's
those actually work.
Stop. Do they?
The cigarette stuff? They do.
Did it?
Yes. The campaign against tobacco was effective.
Yeah, they actually put pictures.
It was disgusting.
Oh yeah,
it worked.
People's oh my god,
like cancer in their mouth and shit like that.
And then their throat, and that was brutal.
Speaking of health, you know what we could do now? Finally, everybody, you couldn't do this before. It was super frustrating for our listeners, but you can do it now. You can now buy a MAPS program for a family member or a friend.
So awesome.
And you'll gift it. They'll get an email with their name and the whole deal.
Best gift.
And you can time the email.
Yes, you can time it. You can time it and personalize it, which is so cool. And
it's at checkout. Whenever you buy a program, it's at checkout.
If you just go in it's any bundle, any special, any offer that we have, when you're going to the checkout.
New programs.
It has a little button that says "Give as a gift" right underneath where the price and the checkout place is. And then you can customize, happy birthday, whatever, have it delivered.
It was so frustrating to me that we never had this capability. I'm like, why don't we have this? People would be like,
can we make some little cards or something?
Yeah, no, you can do it now. You can now give the gift what better gift than the gift of health?
No, I think that's awesome. So it'll be interesting to see how, because I know we have a large portion of our audience that has asked for that for a really long time. And hopefully we're getting it to them in enough time for the holiday. I mean, it's only like a week before Christmas, so hopefully that they'll be able to use it. I'll be curious. I'll pay attention. I'll watch the numbers on it to see how many people actually do that. But I know we've been asked. But I always wonder stuff like that too. It's like people are like, oh, you should do this or oh, you should do that, and then you create it, right? You invest in it. You spend all the time building it, and then like 5 people do it.
No, I think a lot. We've had so many people email. Tons of requests.
I think so too, and we've had to try and do finagle other ways to help people out with that.
So I know we didn't have a shout out for mine, but I do have one, and this is just for bodybuilding fans or people who want to look and see what insane, ridiculous muscle building genetics looks like. Now, of course, all pro bodybuilders have insane muscle building genetics, but there's this one guy. I've never seen genetics like this in my entire life. I followed bodybuilding since I was a kid, and I was kind of a fan of the whole thing. There's a guy, I don't know what his actual name is, but his nickname is Neckzilla. Doug, look up Neckzilla.
Already, I'm interested.
And pull up some pictures. Adam, when you look at this guy's genetics, bro, he looks like a mutant. It looks like somebody created him in a laboratory.
Is it that big mutant-looking guy that's
tiny head,
super tall and he's huge? And
no.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
I mean, that guy has like a tiny head and a huge body.
No, there's a lot of guys that look insane, but this guy right here, especially if you look at his legs, okay, that's not a real picture.
God.
No, that was not a real picture.
Can't be.
The one in the red is real. What? That one right there is real.
Is
look at the size of his neck. That's why they call him Neckzilla.
Oh,
is that him?
That's him. Doug, look up his legs. Go Neckzilla's quads.
I've never seen this guy.
Or Neckzilla's. Yeah.
How did you find him?
His legs are doesn't make any sense. And you should, dude.
How is he not one?
Legs
because he doesn't have a pleasing looking physique.
Good proportions.
He just has a freaky, crazy. This is a guy that when he was a baby. You're looking at him going, okay, this kid, something's going on here with this.
He held his head up just fine.
Yeah. Look at his legs, bro, on the very right next to these other guys.
He's insane looking.
Ridiculous.
I mean,
crazy.
He looks like, is that Rami he's next to right there in the middle?
No.
Who is that?
I don't know who that is. But his his genetics don't make any sense.
I don't think I've ever seen him compete.
So this is a guy that
his legs are just as crazy.
Does he have a YouTube channel?
He's got everything. Yeah, he's got YouTube and Instagram, the whole deal. So this is
what are you shouting out as YouTube?
You just go Neckzilla. You can find him anywhere, Instagram or anywhere. This is the kind of guy that if he was a long distance runner, would be buffed. He could do anything, and he would be jacked, and he would ruin the
switch movements.
Anything he does, he's gonna look jacked. That's the kind of genetics he has. Right there. There he is, right there.
Neckzilla.
So, go check him out. Neckzilla official. That's his Instagram.
That's funny.
That's rad.
Element puts electrolytes in your water with no sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and it uses the right amount of sodium. Most electrolyte powders don't have enough sodium to make a difference. This one does. You want better pumps. You want better performance, especially if you eat a low-carb diet, use Element. Go check them out. Go to drinklmnt.com/mindpump. And on that link, you'll get a free sample pack with any drink mix purchase. All right, back to the show.
Our first caller is Michael from California.
Michael, what's happening?
How you doing, Michael?
What's up, man?
Hey guys, just a little bit background about me. I'm 31 and I'm a doctor in Agora Hills, California. I recently started a private practice that centers around mental health, utilizing functional medicine and ketamine therapy to treat mental health. And I basically been struggling with an eating disorder with exercise compensation for about 10 plus years. It started really in high school. I was overweight. I got into bodybuilding, and when I was 18, I ended up developing a pretty bad eating disorder. At the time, I was put on TRT and thyroid meds at age 18. We did a bunch of testing and stuff, and we thought it was pituitary, and kind of just didn't really know what had caused everything. But looking back now, it definitely was probably reversible because of the way that I was treating my body and everything. Um, that pivoted to me becoming a NASM certified personal trainer right before I went to college. I worked for a big box gym for a while, but really didn't like the toxic environment there. It was just not a good group of people. So then I decided to go into medicine. During medical school, I got really addicted to studying, and this led to me doing a lot of pacing, where I would use it as like cardio as a form of studying, so I could study better. I basically lost about 20 pounds, got even leaner, and my cardio was up to about 40 to 45,000 steps a day, on top of 6 to 7 days of weight training.
Wow.
So I got, yeah, it has been a lot. And then that progressed into residency. I went into psychiatry for a couple years, and basically just got out of hand, mainly due to stress, but also just never resolving that eating disorder. Now I'm 148 pounds at 5'10". I eat about 2,330 calories. And I actually recently started working with Christina Hathaway, relatively early, a few months ago, and she's really changed my life and helped me get everything under control. I was eating about 2,100 calories at the time, and my steps were, they were 45,000, but now they're down to 32,000. And my training days went from 7 to 4, down to 2 upper and 2 lower days, which I'm getting a lot more strength gains and everything on top of that. I'd say my body fat's probably around 8. My in-body scan got me as low as 5%, but I know that's probably not the most accurate. My dietary fats were around 40, and now they're up to 70, which is great for my hormone support. Not that I really need it, but I think it does definitely help, especially with hair and skin, which were definitely issues in the beginning. Anyway, I got slowly started reversing my way up, and I feel stronger, healthier, and happier, which is definitely the most important thing. Now, for my actual question, I noticed that when I drop my steps about 10,000, 12,000 less, and also lowered my training and increased my food, that my hunger actually increased. So I actually started to get hungrier despite doing significantly less work. My theory was that my metabolism was starting to actually work properly, and my body was craving the food that it was neglected for so long. And Christina kind of echoed that. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were, if this is normal, or if I'm just kind of crazy.
No, 100%.
Very normal.
100%. That's your body thanking you for moving in the right direction.
It's building muscle. It's trying to build muscle. Hunger is an interesting signal, because it could be influenced physiologically, but it's also influenced psychologically quite strongly. I think you know that, right? People who are really deep in like anorexia won't even feel hungry and have to force themselves to eat. So it's a bit complicated. But as your body starts to get the signal to build muscle, you're not overtrained, you're feeding it more, hormones start to move in that direction, you start to become more anabolic, you will get hungrier. And that's a good sign for someone in your situation. Yeah. At your height and size, you're still low calorie. Your fat is even still low. You probably, especially with your activity and the kind of work that you do, which is a higher stress job, you're probably going to be better somewhere north of 3,000 calories, and your body weight at 148 will probably be closer to 170. is what you'll find yourself. Your body fat's really low, and you know, I'm going to tell you this because this is just the truth. You're going to have to gain some body fat. Maintaining a single digit body fat it's very rare that that's a healthy place for a man to be in all the time. Now you can get there and come out of it, but for most men, and of course there's those genetic anomalies, but they're typically these high level athletes. And if you're one of those people, because you were always the fastest, strongest person around. But for most men, fit and healthy, you're probably going to hover anywhere between 10 to 15%, probably closer to 12% is where you'll be most of the time when you're healthy and fit and consistent. Single digit is a place that you can touch, but come right back out. So you're going to want to get heavier. You're going to want to get stronger. And I would ask you to not track your body fat percentage at all, because I think that'll really mess you up during this process. I like that you're working with Christina. Christina. I think it's important. How often do you work with her? Is it a weekly thing? Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. I talk to her weekly. And yeah, she's been fantastic and really made me realize that I think a lot of what I was desiring, all this single digit body fat and all this stuff was not even what I really wanted. I wanted to be a husband and a father and start a family. And those things actually keep you from doing those things.
That's right.
Most of the time, because of the amount of pain and just what it does to your body.
Yeah, 100%. And it's always that way.
You're doing really good.
You are.
Literally, what's happening right is it's just stay the course. It's keep going that direction. You could even afford to reduce the training even more. You can afford to reduce the steps even more. You can afford to increase calories, and if you need to, psychologically, do one of them at a time. Just a little bit less of the pacing, a little bit less of the training, a little bit more of the calories, pick and choose, but keep moving in that direction.
In my experience, working with individuals who struggle with this, and myself included, what tends to work as a nice stepping stone is to change your focus to something that is a little more aligned with your ultimate goal of improving your health, being a father and a husband. And the next step, this is not a perfect step, because you could still go, you could go off the rails with this as well. But I think if you focused on getting stronger and made that your fitness, for lack of a better term, obsession, I don't want it to be obsession, but this is what you're focused on, I think it would move you in the right direction with everything. You'll want to eat more because you'll see the weight go up on the bar. You'll build more muscle. You won't be so concerned about body fat percentage. You're probably not even going to measure your body fat percentage because you're focused on strength. I think a MAPS anabolic program would be great for that. And I would, for you, if you were my client, I'd say, let's get you as strong as possible over the next year. And through that process, you're going to increase your calories. You're going to strength train properly. You're not going to overtrain. And then you're going to see all kinds of awesome results from that. And it'll move you away from the obsession, the body focus, the body fat percentage, all that stuff. Eventually you move away from that as well, but strength is a great stepping stone. It really is.
Michael, are you struggling at all with, because the fact that I think you're doing phenomenal and moving the right direction, has that felt very difficult, or have you been good with accepting moving in the direction that you are? Or has it been a push and pull type of feel?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I actually tried to do this last year during residency with another coach, and I freaked out and went backwards. And this time around, it's actually been really, really easy for me, because first of all, I don't weigh myself anymore because I don't care. It doesn't really matter. And I want, basically my envision of myself is a big, strong man that can protect somebody and provide for a family. And I took a progress picture at the beginning with Christina that I looked at it and I didn't recognize myself. And that I look at that every day to remind me of what my goal is and how I want to be healthy and what I really want in life. And it's not, abs with ab veins for no reason. I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't get up on stage. I don't get paid for it. I get paid to help people. And I pride myself in what I do for a living and focusing on that. And then, being strong because it feels good to be strong. It's my catharsis. It's what I do to release that negative energy from work that I take on from my patients and everything. And have a healthier relationship with that. And it's actually been a lot easier because I've let go of those obsessions with wanting to look perfect.
That's awesome.
For actually no reason.
You know what's really cool is that
great. Yeah.
What's really cool is that you work in mental health too, because working with other people, helping them, you can't help but you start to take your own advice and start to see some of the things that you struggle with yourself. I think that's going to really help you if it hasn't already. I'm sure it already has. You know, something else too to kind of move that focus would be to try something physical that's in a bit of a different direction that requires performance. The reason why I keep pushing performance because it's hard to undereat and overtrain and to improve in performance. Right. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a great segue. Like if you did Jiu-Jitsu a couple days a week, lifted once a week, you might find yourself becoming kind of falling in love with that performance and that feeling and really just not even paying attention to the mirror because it's really about strength and performance, strength in the gym, performance on the mats. So that's just another suggestion that I've seen help quite a few men.
Yeah, actually, my buddy in residency he does jiu-jitsu and took me to a session once, and it was the most intense workout I think I've ever done. I just got destroyed, but it feels good though. It's a different kind of pain.
Totally. I'll send you MAPS Anabolic because if you're going to stick with just strength training, I think that program you'll love, and you'll see your strength gains explode. You'll really see your body from a strength perspective just go through the roof, and I think things will fall into place. You need to keep reverse dieting, keep bumping those calories up, and keep moving in that direction. But this is a great start.
Yeah, I'd like to throw you in the private forum too, so we can just keep an eye on you. I know you got Christina, and she's phenomenal. So as long as you're working with her, I think you guys are going to do great. But I'd love to put you in the forum too. Just keep us updated, and if you have any questions along the way, you can reach directly to us that way.
Of course. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
You got it, man. Thanks for calling in.
All right, Michael.
Appreciate it.
Of course. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Take it easy, man.
I think him helping people in mental health is going to help him. That always does, right?
I mean, half of why I have fallen in love with our profession is the accountability piece that it always did for me. I mean, that was a big...
You feel like a hypocrite when you're giving advice and you're not taking it.
That was a big factor for me when deciding to go down that path. It's like, you know what? I love that I'm preaching this message every day, which is just a constant mirror for myself. And so, the fact that he's in mental health, I'm sure that... And it sounds like he's doing phenomenal. He just keeps going that direction. If you just keep going that direction. And it does sound like... Because my concern was, okay, he's made great progress, but has it been like, white knuckling it to get there? And it sounds like he's embraced.
Well, he did what I was going to say, and then he said he was working with someone. Is you need to work with someone on a regular basis, just like he would advise anybody, who comes to him, because you need a guide. Because you're left to your own devices, you'll move back to where you were before.
Yeah.
Next caller is Teresa from Canada.
Teresa, what's happening?
Hey,
How you doing,
what's
Teresa?
happening?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
We're doing
All
good.
right.
How can we help you?
Okay, so I'll just read from my other device here the email. It's long-winded, so I'm sorry in advance. So should I just get into it?
Yeah, do it.
Yep.
Okay. I'm reaching out because I feel stuck with a client. I'm a fairly novice coach, and I just feel like I'm not doing enough to help this person, or maybe not pushing her enough. I will try and keep this shortish. This client is a busy mom of 2 younger kids and a wife and works a busy full-time job. She is kind of known for taking on too much onto her plate, always saying yes to things. We've known each other for years, and she reached out for me for help, and I thought, what a better person to help. She has done the whole thing in the past where you're given a basic meal plan, you follow it, and then yay, you lose the weight, but then what, What after that? She has done the whole 5 to 6 days a week at home beach body thing. The workouts, none of that really stuck. She struggles with sleep because one of their kids wakes them up every night. Plus, they kind of have to do that thing where they fall asleep with their kids to get them to sleep. She struggles with scrolling at bedtime and not really prioritizing sleep, even though we talk about it quite frequently. We have been working together since February, and I've been just trying to get her to focus on getting a little bit more movement in every day, hitting water intake goals, protein goals, and doing one MAPS 15 workout a week. We kind of cycle through those goals repeatedly, kind of like a hamster wheel. Recently, I've been asking her to schedule in like one workout per week because like I think that's just important me time. Like she deserves that, whatever. She can't seem to string a solid week together of hitting protein targets. I help by giving meal ideas, but not plans. I encourage cooking extra dinner or meal prepping just a few meals to help her stay ahead and leave more free time in the evenings. I try and encourage her to find foods that will work with their family because that's what they will stick with in the long run, ideally, which is hard because the kids are picky. They have frequent large family meals on many weekends and work events and lunches don't always have good options. I want to help her make smarter choices without feeling the need to be a bring my own Tupperware type person. Her husband brought out the scale recently with no like malicious intent. And she saw the scale go up since we've been working together. She didn't tell me how much, but it gone up. He did see it go up too, but you know how like hard gainer men react when the scale goes up versus women. There have been some wins with her though. I feel like she eats more protein than before. She has stopped heavily binge snacking in the evenings because she eats more at meals. And she does seem like she has more energy. And I think she sees the benefit of a few of these things. So on one hand, I feel bad because I feel responsible for her success right now because I am her support person. I understand what works for my little family obviously may not work for everyone. I feel like this is a fairly textbook scenario for you guys that I just need more experience to figure out. I just feel bad that months and months have passed and it makes me feel like a bad coach. But when do you have the hard conversations with people about their goals and that they kind of have to take things into their own hands and like try? Do you have any tips for making smaller goals? I appreciate and look forward to any advice.
I think you're doing good.
I think so too.
I think you're doing really good. And this is what makes coaching so rewarding and so challenging. Okay. Your job as a coach is to be honest. It's to inspire and encourage, not push, inspire and encourage, but it's also to be a source of endless grace when they make a mistake, because you are the person that they're concerned about. When they mess up, you know, they probably feel bad about themselves, and then you're the coach and you say, look, it's fine. We all make a mistake. What used to help me a lot with this is remembering the areas of my life that I was stuck on a hamster wheel. We all have these. We all have areas where if somebody from the outside looked at them, they'd go, just do this thing or just don't do this thing. It's so silly. And we tend to hide that from people. But we all have those. Now, it is true that it is all your fault as a coach, but it's also true that you need to give yourself grace as well. This is the mystery of being a good coach, is you have to take the responsibility, but you can't allow yourself to be crushed by the responsibility. Now, why do you have to take all the responsibility? Because you have to care. If you don't care, you're not going to be effective. But you also have to accept that people are human and that it's going to be a struggle, and that's okay as well. So what does this look like? It looks like honesty. So when do I have those hard conversations? When they invite them. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm not losing weight. Listen, this is really hard. Like, we know why it's not happening. We know the reasons why it's not happening, but it's just really tough. When you're ready to take the next step, you let me know. I think I have some ideas. This is how you present it, okay? What you don't want to do is come down on people when they make those mistakes. You don't want to come down on them unless they invite it. And sometimes that happens too. Sometimes somebody comes to you and they, keep making the same mistake. And then I would tell people, do you mind if I give you some harsh realities? Yeah. You're doing this to yourself. But it's always with care, love, encouragement, and honesty. So you don't lie, you're honest, but again, it's encouragement, inspiration, and grace. And this is the only approach that I've ever seen that gets people to the place where they can do this for the rest of their lives. Now, here's the kicker. If you force her to do something and she does it, you will rob her of the joy of making that choice herself. And it's not going to and it won't stick. That's the challenge. The challenge is, how can I get this person to want to make these choices and these changes? And when they make those changes, can I do it in a way to where they feel good about this, that they did this, not that I did this, that they did this? You want them to feel that. That's what sticks. I think you're doing a good job. I think you're being a little too hard on yourself. So extend yourself that grace and give it to her when she makes a mistake.
Yeah, I think the best part about this client for you is realizing that this is going to be the majority of clients. Just a fact. That's part of.
It's the long game.
Yeah, I mean, being a very good trainer is a lot like being a really good baseball player. If you're amazing, you're hitting the ball three out of 10 times. I mean, you're amazing, and that's just clients are that way. And just hang on the things that you are making progress with her and steps in that direction. And if she is not bitching and complaining and blaming you, then sometimes you just have to be okay that this is where she's at currently right now. I know me being in her life is helping her be a healthier version than what she would be with me out of her life. And so that's a very positive thing, right? Sometimes clients would train with me and the only thing I could get them to do is to show up to the workout. That was why they hired me, and everything else they weren't doing outside of me. But
That's so many clients.
Yeah, but hey, that's better than them not coming to the gym, and at least they're coming to see me, and they recognize the importance of strength training the 2 or 3 times a week with me. And so even though I couldn't get them to do any of the other things, I also recognize that, hey, at least I can add value or keep them healthier than what they would be if they weren't seeing me. So you do. And if I thought you were giving bad advice or you were pushing too much or you weren't meeting them where they're at, I'd give you advice in that direction. But I think the things that you listed that you were doing and the way you're communicating them, and even where I see you're meeting her, I mean, you're doing the right things. You really are. And it doesn't matter sometimes, like no matter what you do, that person has to really want it. Sometimes people hire a coach because they can afford to hire a coach and it makes them feel like they're trying or that they're moving in the right direction, but in reality, they haven't truly made that decision inside. And that sounds
They're
like
trying, but they haven't.
And this sounds like one of those people that she's got so much going on in her life that she hasn't quite prioritized this as she does everything else, right?
She knows it's important. It's just a matter of time for it to really set in. And you never know what that trigger is. You know, you never know that one day where all of a sudden it just clicks and it makes sense. And I've had this happen with clients before. It's been like a couple years, and then all of a sudden, like there was this huge shift in their life. And that's why you just got to hang on and be there. And they just know you're the North Star, and you're there, and you just keep providing good information when they need it.
Yeah, here's what you want, and think of your own situation. Maybe you've known people like this in your life, right? You make a huge, embarrassing mistake. Who's that one person you know you can tell? Okay, you want to be that for your client. What you don't want to be is that trainer where the client's like, "Oh man, I went off the rails yesterday, ate a whole pizza." I'm not telling my trainer. You want to be the trainer or the coach where you're the first person.
They confide in.
They confide in you because they know you're going to be honest, but you're also going to give them grace. Remember, grace is undeserved. Grace is not like you may think to yourself like you deserve to get, whatever. That's not what that looks like. So you want to be that coach that the person that your client feels like that's the person I go to when I screw up and this sucks. By the way, she's got 2 younger kids. This is a season for a lot of moms. Like Justin hit the nail on the head. I can't tell you how many clients I had that I would train for a year, 2 years, 3 years, like years. And then all of a sudden, like magic, things fall into place. And sometimes it's like, oh, my kids went to school now. Mm-hmm. Or I finally left that job, and then things start to click. And it's like, man, if we didn't hang in there, we would have never reached that place. So this is the beauty of what we do as coaches and trainers. And this is why a lot of people can't do it, but that's okay. That gets me excited.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Wow. Well, thank you. Yeah, sometimes I just I sit back and I'm like, am I just taking her money? But like, forgive my pregnancy hormones, they might come out, but she wrote me like a thank you Christmas card that said like, it was just like, thank you for helping me make myself a priority. And I just, after everything I've been mentally dealing with this question, I really needed to hear that because like you said, I am her support person. So it just made me feel really good. And what you guys are saying is making me feel, despite the ugly crying. Yeah.
You're a good coach.
Yeah, you're doing good, Teresa. You're doing a lot of the right things.
If you didn't feel the way you did, you wouldn't be a good coach. This is what everybody goes. This is all good coaches go through this.
Yep.
Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just try and trust the process, I guess, like I do with myself. So.
And believe your clients when they give you money and they say that you're bringing them value.
Yeah.
Believe them. Don't look at it and go, but what do you know, you're not doing this, that. No. Believe them. They mean it.
Yeah.
Are you attending our webinars for coaches and trainers?
I attended the last one. I missed the first one, but yes, I would like to keep up with them.
Keep registering. We're doing them every other month right now, so we'll see you there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay.
Keep at it.
Thanks, Teresa.
Okay. Merry Christmas, guys. Happy New Year.
Yeah,
too.
Merry Christmas.
This is why I love coaches and trainers.
The best.
You don't see anybody else.
They care.
You don't see anybody else in the fitness industry feel like that about people's health, about their progress. Nobody feels like that.
Yeah.
This is why we speak to coaches and trainers, and that's why they're the ones that make the big difference.
She's doing a really good job.
That's it, totally.
When she was listening, I mean, obviously, I recognize her name too. Teresa's been listening and following and been in our forums for a very long time, so I recognize her. And you could tell by the way she's handling her. I mean, she's doing all the right things.
Mm-hmm.
She's meeting her where she's at. She's giving her little baby steps. When they fall off, they get back on. Like, I just, this is just part of the game.
Yeah.
You know, this is part of it. Like, you just got to be okay
Sometimes
with
a
it.
coach needs a little pump up too.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's how I feel. Like
Oh, I remember.
I definitely needed that a lot of times.
Yeah, I remember having moments like that where you have these streaks of where all the clients are like just not. And
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, oh my god, am I
Like,
doing
is it me?
anything?
Is it me? Is it-
Yeah.
am I that bad? You know, and so you just have, and then you have other.
remember that.
Yeah, then you have hot streaks where everyone's hitting their goals and they're doing great. You know,
100%.
so you just depends on the batch you got at the time you got them, and so. But she's doing all the right things. So, and obviously the lady wrote her a card to thank her for how much she's doing.
and
To
believe
me,
her.
that's the big point to this conversation. I think to be had for coaches and trainers that are listening. This is a little bit different if this lady is bitching and complaining and telling
That's
her
right.
and blaming her that
Yeah.
you're, you know, why am I not seeing the results?
Yeah.
Well, then there's a lot of stuff that we can communicate and talk about. But the lady is
That's the invitation for the honest conversation.
that's right.
exactly.
That's right.
You'd be
But
a little
it sounds like
more
she
real.
recognizes that she's not doing all the
That's
things
right.
she needs to do, but she still values what
That's
she's
right.
doing. And so that's totally okay. It's totally okay.
By the way, we are running a sale this month on some workout programs. MAPS Aesthetic and MAPS Symmetry, both very popular programs, both 50% off. If you're interested, go to mapsfitnessproducts.com, but use the code December50 for the discount. All right, here comes the show.
Our next caller is Andrew from Wisconsin.
What's up, Andrew?
So I'm doing, Andrew.
What's happening, dude?
Hey guys,
What you got for us?
my main question is, so I've been lifting for about 20 years since middle school, and I've done powerlifting in high school. I did track throughout college and post-college. I have a gym in my basement that I set up during COVID. I've been running anabolic and powerlift for the last year and a half and doing symmetry in between. We just went through our third adoption, but this adorable child does not sleep whatsoever. I want to continue training and be able to lift to stay strong for my kids who are beginning sports, but the lack of sleep is getting to me finally after 8 months. Wondering if there's something that you had other than MAPS 15, because I'm kind of a meathead, that you would suggest running in the meantime, as it's part of the reason that I lift is for my own sanity in those times.
question.
I think you would be pleasantly surprised with MAPS 15 because I too am a meathead, and so is Sal. And I tell you what, that one of the reasons why that's such a banger is because it's a very unassuming program, and you will build muscle on it, and you will get strong on it, and it's a great workout. It really is. It sounds weak because it says it's in literally the advanced version that's in there is more like 25 to 30 minutes. So it's not quite a 15-minute workout.
Okay.
There is a 15 workout, which is like the beginner portion of it. But a guy like you, I'd say run MAPS 15, do the advanced version. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with what you get from it. And I think it's perfect for what's going on in your life right now.
Yeah. What does the sleep look like? How bad is it for you?
We'll say that he's the worst of all of our kids. So it's at most, I'll get 2 hours consistently at a time between my wife and I waking up, taking shifts here and there.
Yeah, dude. You got this. I don't think you have a choice. I don't think you have a choice to do. I mean, because your other option, you can. So if you did MAPS 15 and you did the barbell version, you go in there, do it. You want to spend extra time. You do mobility, do some static stretching. Just spend some time in there. But if you go, I mean, I think you know this. You've been working out for a long time. you go above and beyond, it's going to make things just rough. You'll start to get sick and things will start to break down. So, I mean, the other option is go in your gym and do like 20% intensity, where you're just getting a little bit of a pump and going through the motion, type of deal. I mean, I get the whole sanity thing. I have that relationship with exercise too, but man, that kind of sleep that's rough. That'll kill your body's ability to adapt or recover. And so you got to be very careful with that because you've been working out so long, you're quite resilient and you'll fool yourself for a little while until it starts to backfire. And the way it'll backfire is, it won't feel good. You'll either hurt yourself or you'll get sick because your immune system will get super, super depressed. And this is your third kid. It's a season. You'll get through it and then you'll be able to get back at it. And because you've been strength training for so long, your muscle memory is there. A little bit will keep what you got. But yeah, dude.
I think making yourself go through the MAPS 15, it'll be a good lesson for you because you are literally the perfect candidate for a program like this. And I think it's important that you see the correlation of what you need to do volume and intensity wise when you're in a position like you are right now where you're not getting very much sleep, and how do I still work out because you care about that, but also recognize that I have to scale back somehow or some way because of the lack of sleep and what a role that plays. So I think you'll end up learning something. I mean, I did. I've been doing this for a very long time and did exactly that. Was not excited to do it either. But was blown away by the results that came from it. And what the lesson for me was like, oh, wow, I really did need to pull back. Even though in my head, I didn't think I was overdoing it. I thought for sure I was totally fine. That was the lesson, was like, oh, I could really scale back. Especially guys like us that have been lifting for so long. Man, it just doesn't take nearly as much training intensity and volume to maintain that healthy, strong physique. Yeah. And the times to pull back are these. There's times when it's time to sprint, right? There's times to ramp it up, get after it, chase a PR, make gains, but it's not when you're up every 2 hours through the night with a new kid.
I hit a PR on that workout. I hit a deadlift PR at 44 years old. And I had initially set it in my early 30s, so I got great results with it. But I get the sanity part. I would say, because you don't want to hurt yourself, you don't want to keep hammering your body. Maybe find some replacements in your basement. Static stretching is really good because it brings the CNS down. Yeah. It's relaxing.
You have a sauna or anything?
Sauna, mobility work. So you'll still be in there for your hour, but lifting is going to be real rough. With this kind of sleep.
Yeah,
schedule.
if you overdo the dose of lifting, it's just going to set you back. So
yeah. How do you get through like the mental barrier of it? I guess that's a big thing for me too. I see 15 and I'm like, man, that's like enough for a warm up. So that I think that's my head.
Yeah,
once you try it after a couple weeks, I think you'll be okay.
The frequency of it. You'll kind of get into the momentum that it provides, and that's really it's pretty game changer once you get past that initial hurdle of like feeling like it's really not much, because it does, that short amount. If you're used to these long bouts where you're just crushing it in the gym, it's a definite shift and transition, but because it's all spread out all the way throughout the week and you're doing it so frequently, you're going to see like a totally different thing.
Remind yourself there is a big difference between what you can tolerate and what is optimal. Yeah. Because a guy like you with your background is tough as nails probably, and can grit through any workout and on 2 hours of sleep, no sleep, doesn't matter. I can do this because you've trained yourself that way and you can tolerate it because you've got that edge to you. But what you can tolerate and what is optimal for your body and that's why I think this would be such a good lesson, is because I think you will realize that as you go through this, like, oh shit. I could have done 4 times the workout because I got that in me, but I realize how much what's optimal for my body right now is that I do this.
Well, this kid's a new variable, right? This lack of sleep's a new variable. Now you need a new variable in your training. It's just you have to match it. You have to be able to adapt and mold to this new challenge.
You'll be working out for the rest of your life. So this will be a season. But Andrew, you're a man of faith, right? Yeah. Okay. So you got to trust that he's got something for you, and it looks like part of it is in this obstacle right here. So you've got this, miraculous baby, not sleeping well, and he's probably going to start touching your issues with exercise. So just watch what happens. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised about what you get out of it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I trust you guys.
Yeah.
I know it's one of those things you talk about all the time. I just need to hear it, right?
Yeah.
Do you have it? Well, can we send it to you?
I don't have it. Like I said, it was the 15 that just kind of
You just looked at it.
Yeah,
like, oh,
We'll
heck,
send it to you. So in Mass 15, there's a barbell version. Do that version.
Yeah, the advanced version.
You'll do that.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, Andrew, right
Awesome.
now, I think within 2 weeks, you'll feel and see a difference.
Yeah,
2
dude.
weeks. It won't even take that long. And I think you'll see positive benefits from it. And hopefully that's enough to motivate you to continue on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Everything you guys are doing.
You got it, man.
All
God
right.
bless. Thank you.
Yep.
I hope he follows up with us because I think.
Oh, he's going to come back and be like, oh my gosh, you guys, this is great.
Yeah. If he does it,
If
right?
he does it,
yeah. If he
there's
does
a lot
it.
of resistance.
I mean, yeah,
right
listen,
away.
Listen, here's why.
he started with any. Do you have
Listen.
any options except for message?
Except for the exact answer you're going to give me. Anything else.
Yeah. You know what's funny? He's going to do it because he has no choice, bro.
That's the thing, dude. There's no other option.
You wake up every 2 hours. How long is that going to last? Where you could go and just work out in the gym for an hour?
Well,
There's kid. You just going to kill yourself.
Yeah, or he doesn't. He does continue on this, and then his body tells him.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Yeah.
it. It's going to revolt.
Yeah, it'll eventually.
But hey, God bless him though. 3 kids adopted. That's a lot of work, man. That's
for
great.
sure. Yeah. It's
Our next caller is Deborah and Coach Richard from Wisconsin.
What's up, guys?
How you guys doing?
Welcome back.
This is not.
what's
Hello,
happening.
fellas.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
We're doing
Yeah,
good.
Very good. How are you guys?
We're excited to hear the follow up here. Huh?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, about 90 days ago on episode 2431, you challenged me to give up the scale, to back off the tracking, in hopes to grow both in strength and mentally, kind of allow myself to go into a bulk. So I'm back. I did bring my coach of 4 years, Coach Richard Sauer, along here.
Awesome.
What's up, Coach?
Yeah.
Nice to meet
Hello.
you.
You had mentioned once on an episode that it would be cool to have like a client coach on. So, and I thought, I mean, he's been such a big supporter of me, and he's had my programming and trained me for 4 years. He's a huge encourager and whatnot. So anyway,
Great job.
so yeah, giving up the
Love it.
scale. Yeah.
Tell us how that
Was,
went. Yeah, tell us how that went.
So it was really hard. And I have to tell you, if you hadn't challenged me to come back, I'm not sure if I would have actually done it. It took me because he's tried to get me to give it up for like a long time. And I couldn't do it. In fact, it took me a week to deliver the scales to him. But I did. I know, I was like gearing up. You had said, I think Adam, you told me that, it was going to be tough, and I knew it was. And the draw to get back, to like have them back was so strong, especially that first week. You had said it was kind of like, wanting to go back to an abusive relationship, and man, you were totally right. So about a week after giving up the scale, I can honestly tell you, I was in despair. Like, I felt like I was heavier. I felt like I had, I didn't have that number every day to kind of check in with. So that was hard. But after the first couple weeks, I kind of noticed that actually my eating had gotten a little better. My cravings had actually kind of reduced. And I think it's because I didn't have that number in my head every day. Whether it was up or whether it was down. So that was kind of eye-opening to me. I felt good, and I was kind of beginning to realize the mental benefits of not having that number in my head every day. And I also kind of gave up the food tracking. I was just going on, trying to intuitively eat. One of the things I did, which doesn't seem like a big thing, but I did add a protein shake after my lift in the morning. So I lift early. We train at like 5 a.m. and typically I'm up and at the gym by 4:30. And I would try to make myself to kind of wait until 8:30, 9 o'clock when I get to work before I would have anything. Just wanting to like delay, I guess, that first bit of calories. So I added a protein shake there. And it sounds like a small change, but it's a big step to like consistently add a little extra calories during the day.
That's right.
And Richard can kind of talk about programming, what we did there, what he did. So.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I'm still in awe that we're on this. I've been listening to you guys for over 4.5 years, every single week.
Awesome.
And if we have time, I have a question from my end at the very end if we get to it. But yeah, so it's been an absolute, I can just say honestly, like pleasure with Deb. Obviously, we've had our ups and downs. She doesn't always listen always, but obviously, I'm not always correct either. So no, as far as the program goes, we started together at a small boot camp gym a couple of years ago, and that was mainly group fitness. And I moved there from South Dakota and kind of built my training business from there again, just one-on-one. And she was one of the first people that started to trust me with some strength training stuff and whatnot. So I slowly started to get her away from doing like boot camps like 5 days a week and stuff, or even 2 workouts a day kind of deal. I'm more like, hey, this is a barbell squat. This is what a 2-minute rest looks like. Let's talk about some stories, get to know each other a little bit. And so ever since, basically, it's become like she has done a total 180 as far as her like attitude goes, as far as the like the exercises and the programming and like the mindset about that. So her consistency is stupendous. It's perfect. There's never a flaw. Like if there's a fever or sickness, snowstorm, she has a gym at home too. So she has basically all of you guys' programs plus the stuff that I write her. And we faced through a lot of stuff. We've done like prototypes of, MAPS anabolic, a little bit of MAPS powerlift. I sometimes throw in some, I've gotten into some strongman stuff myself. So I have some few like heavy carry movements in there sometimes. And she does it like clockwork. So for me, it's super fun to like spend a lot of time on stuff to create new things that make it challenging for her to improve essentially. So it's just been, as far as that goes, honestly, I think, well, biasly, I will say I think it's been well-rounded, and a lot of this, like you guys, as soon as I met her, you guys were the first ones that I recommended. She's got me a bunch of gear from you guys. She bought all these supplements. So we're just like hardcore fans right now. And right. So what I was wondering if I could ask a question in her regard, some more specific. So for example, she said with the scale and stuff, that's been a huge, give up essentially. What we're both curious about is, because I don't want to like tell her something wrong just because my professional opinion says one thing, but then her personal, how she feels is different. So what I'm wondering is, like, specifically, we're currently trying to get a better handle on how many days a week we work out. She used to work out like solid 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. And she walks a shit ton, pardon my French. So the question is, I guess, with her, she works a very sedentary job the whole day, but she still hits like 15 to 17 in the summer, up to 20,000 steps, and does her little like walk runs, which sometimes drive me nuts, to be honest. Like I tell her, just relax, just like watch a movie, have some, let's work on some other hobbies maybe. So the question I guess I have is, do you guys think, does it seem feasible for us to actually work on, to have her like take like a legit, not even an active rest day, like just a rest day, to just like go for maybe not even a walk, but like to just like walk like I do, and not like she does. Like she like power walks all the time, like literally don't even break a sweat. Or because it's a big stress management factor for her, do you think that she should just continue to do that, even though obviously, from what I have known her now for, I don't think it's always the best thing to do, but it makes her mentally feel better. So
great question.
Such a good question. Okay, so you got rid of the scale, and initially it was more stressful, but now it feels freeing.
Yeah.
It feels freeing now. That's what's going to happen if you take a real day off.
Yeah, for sure.
If you take a real day off. So here's what happens when we have bad relationships with things. What we feel is it's making us better, when in reality we become slaves to that relationship. And then when you break off that relationship, initially it feels a little panic. Oh my God, I'm not doing my thing. I feel worse. But then you start to feel more free. So I think a total day off would benefit you tremendously. I think it'll be huge. I think what you'll see is progress in the gym. You'll feel more energy. You'll feel more at peace, and you'll feel more free, because just like you did from breaking the chain to the scale, it starts to feel freeing, and you start to feel like, whoa, more alive, and okay. And then you start to see in hindsight more clearly. I think that'll happen with the day off as well. As much as you exercise, as much as you do, a real day off where you just relax will be so good for you.
Mental training.
100%. It'll be better for your mental state.
The healthiest part about that is the exercise and the ability for you to be okay when that happens. Because it's not necessarily that walking every day was bad. Like, who do we ever tell? Like, oh, stop walking. That's too bad. Like, that's not a bad thing. But when you obsess over it, or when you can't not walk for a day,
or it's scary to stop.
Yes, that's where the problem lies. And so it's more important to teach ourselves. It's like, just like what you've learned with the scale. Like, I would be okay if 3 months from now we hop on the scale just to check, but we wanted to break that I need to be on that scale. We want to break that I need to go for this brisk walk every single day. It's like, no, you don't. You're in incredible shape. You're very healthy. You're very strong. You absolutely could watch movies all day today. And you want to be able to give yourself that permission for that reason only, not because I think what you're doing is quote unquote unhealthy or bad for you, but because you need to work on that relationship also, just so you have that flexibility. And when you get through that, you'll have the same feeling that you had when you broke that from the scale, is that it's not the scale is bad, it's that the relationship that was with the scale is bad. The relationship with all the walking could be healthier, which is giving yourself that ability to take days off.
And I'll tell you, physiologically, you probably need that time off also. Just physically, you probably need that relaxing time as well with all the activity that you're doing.
Probably.
Pick up knitting.
So the hard thing is too, and I can very much relate to that. So that's why I'm very careful when I'm asked her to do these things, because I know it's a very big ask for her, even though for I'm gonna say the average person, it seems like, well, duh, let's just chill today. But the other thing is too, with a lot of her family, she kind of shares her love with workouts. I do the same. I burned out 2 times really bad this year personally, so I've kind of learned from her own mistakes, you could say. So I think that's also the challenge when she has friends or family or so that, hey, let's get a workout in, or sometimes we work out sometimes every once in a while. But it's let's maybe shift, let's go shop, let's do something else besides working out to still spend quality time. So I hope. Okay, good.
No, you can't. So you can't not do something. You can only do something. So what I mean by that is, okay, I'm not going to walk. What is that? What else do I do now? Yeah. So come up with something else that's growth-minded that allows you to relax. So maybe you're like, I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to learn a new skill, or I'm going to go sit in nature. So give yourself something to do in replace of. Otherwise, what you're going to do is you're going to sit there twiddling your thumbs, and you'll be like, this is driving me crazy. So come up with something else. I like yin yoga is great. Yin yoga is the kind of yoga. It's not power yoga. It's not Ashtanga. You're literally just sitting in stretches for a minute, 2 minutes. That's an idea. Meditation's good. Sitting in nature's good.
Yeah, practice.
Reading is good. Things that allow your body to not move, but still allow you to grow in other ways is typically a good replacement.
Okay. I have way too many hobbies, so I've been trying to gently have her hey, why don't you try this and this? She's like, nah. So we'll kind of keep working on that.
It's been baby steps, right?
You guys are doing
I am
great.
a type A, super consistent. And like you said, these are kind of my mechanisms to kind of cope with stress and whatnot. But so taking away the scale, adding a few of the calories, those have been big steps. And I used to run, and now I only walk. So I feel
great.
like that's very fast.
You're doing great.
You're doing
Lots
so
of
good.
progress,
It's got to be encouraging, right? Look back and how scary it was to not weigh yourself. Now, how amazing is it that you broke that attachment, right? It's going to feel like that every step. Every step's going to be that way. Challenging at first.
Yeah, this is a new training is really just for your mental health.
I did tell him, a couple weeks ago, I was like, I do want my scales back. And I'm like, okay, you can hang on to them for a little longer, because I recognize that if I had them back, I would slip back into it, kind of quickly. Yeah. So I'm going to hold off on having them return them for now and just kind of sit. It's that whole, I think it's just, I'm very goal orientated. So sometimes the scale doesn't need to be the goal, I think, is what I need to, he's encouraged me to have strength be the goal. And so that we continue to work on that too.
So when people say I'm type A, or when people say I'm goal oriented, it's typically code for I need to feel in control, and I need to feel like I can control things. So weighing myself, walking at this time, working out at this time, eating this food, control. So the deeper issue here may be just being able to not be in control. And it feels so good because what you try to control ends up controlling you. So it feels so good to just be like, oh, wow, I don't need to be. And the world didn't explode, and it's actually a lot better.
Yeah. Well, I built a lot of trust in Richard because like that, when he came into our small gym and we did boot camp classes, and it was like that cardio hit type thing that, we've learned
that we hate.
You don't need to
Sometimes
do.
It's okay.
He came in and he's like, all of a sudden, like adding a rest. And we were all like, he'd come over and he'd hand us heavier weights. And we'd look at each other and we're like, what is he doing? Like 2 minutes. Why are we resting?
Yeah, great job.
So
Yeah,
I
great job.
have a lot
Richard.
of trust in him. So
It's a great trainer.
That's awesome.
You got a great trainer.
You got a good trainer for sure.
I was one. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead, bro.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to say this quick. So one of my best friends from college, Dr. Ryan Hanks, he introduced me to you guys first. So I need to give him a huge shout out. He's an amazing guy. He's actually in pretty decent contact with Dr. Jordan Shallow as well. So they're like someone working together down in Florida. Shallow is like an OG, and I've like watched every single piece of content this guy has. Then also one of my good friends is Josh Rufinski. Adam, you meet thousands of people, but he met you at a convention in Florida, I think like last spring. So we both train at the Lifetime here in Brookfield together. So he's just a massive fan. I wanted to say, to just tell you guys that he's also a big fan. So my question is basically, I have been very fortunate over the past 7 years as being a trainer, essentially, that I have built a pretty successful business through the Lifetime brand here now. It's very sustainable. I love all my clients and everything has a very good rhythm going. Now, I'm always afraid of getting complacent, and I want to keep growing in the industry and with my clients. So I wanted to ask you guys, for, I guess, a more established trainer, do you guys have any advice if I should what else I could do to like be of more service, essentially?
Oh, great question.
Are you doing anything virtually too, or is everything in person for you?
So yes, so I have 26 people in person, and I have currently 4 people online. And Lifetime just developed their own online training app, which allows us to actually record videos ourselves. So basically, like you guys do put videos together, we just don't look as good as you guys. And then essentially create programs that way. So that's my main goal for next year, to grow my online content more, that I have good programs so I can mentor people that way.
That's the main thing I would suggest to you. You're already doing, it sounds like you're doing an incredible job already with all the people you have. You have a loaded book if you've got 26 clients. I know what that schedule looks like. The only other way I think you could potentially continue to grow and reach more is to branch out into virtual, because then you can start to host webinars where hundreds of people show up, and you can manage a lot more people virtually than you can in person. And so, if you want to continue to grow and scale and reach more people, I do think that the online virtual direction is probably the direction you want to continue to go into. I'm assuming you're not in our course right now, are you, Richard?
No.
So, I mean, I don't want to disrupt Lifetime. Sounds like you got a good situation there, but one of the things that's going to be we just soft launched to our coaches and trainers in there, the software High Level. And what that is going to allow them to do, it's basically a CRM to help trainers scale their business. And they are going to be able to white label all of our stuff. So in other words, you would be able to take the $1 million plus of assets that we've created, all the MAPS programs, and actually brand it as your own to go out into the virtual world. And so that's something that, that's something that we've been working on for over a year now. It is almost completely done. We've already rolled out the first version of it, which is basically helping you with
very clean UI
email marketing and capturing leads and funnels and all that stuff.
My own business, basically.
And we actually set it all up for you, and you use all of our assets. So that's
wow. Yeah, we just launched it. So check it out.
Show up to the webinars that Sal and I were doing, because we'll talk about it.
We should have Ann or Kyle give him a call. So if he's
I can do that. I can have Ann or Kyle talk you and show you what it looks like, if that's ever a direction you want to go. Because that's our main focus next year, is to really help all of our coaches and trainers underneath us scale their businesses.
Yep.
That's bonkers. Yeah, that was the only other thing step up from life would be to do something independently. And a while ago when shit went south at the other gym, I was thinking about that. But I just love coworkers and I love the big box environment. I mean, we have like over 8,000 members here, plus like 25 full-time trainers. Yeah. So I love every single person on the team. So it's like that's the only thing where I'd be like, well, if I do my own gig and online, but anyway, that sounds incredible, though. Yeah. I would definitely be interested to check that out. Yeah,
we'll reach out, Richard. I'll make sure they reach out to you.
Okay.
All right,
perfect.
guys.
Thank you. Thanks for the follow-up.
Did a great job. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Super happy for you guys.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I love these follow-ups.
Yeah,
they're great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I remember she was in her gym when she called us.
I totally remember. I remember the abusive relationship. I remember the look on her face when I said that to her. It was like this. Oh,
yeah, that's awesome. But I mean, it's freeing. You know, it's so freeing to break those chains, but it's so scary, and you feel like it's going to be worse when in fact it's a lot better. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat. For men, this is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
Now, there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.